Yeah, football Sunday. Johnny's cheap big old pot of chili. I'm doing this, and I remember one of my episodes I made chili. And this is my 100th episode right here. So I'm making chili. Let me tell you, this is the reason I'm making it. I'm just finishing it up here. My homemade spice packet. I asked for suggestions. What should we do for the 100th episode of John Eats Cheap? And thanks to Paul, he had a great idea. He said, how about eating cheap for a week? Show us how to eat cheap for a week. How would you do it? So I kind of tossed it around a little bit, and I thought, I had a couple ideas right away. And one of them is chili, big old pot of chili, because this chili will feed us on football Sunday and another full meal later on down the week that's different than just chili. So all this week, we're going to have a different new meal every night. We're going to keep you updated on how much it costs. We're going to do it we want to do it under $100. Feed a family of 4 for a week for under $100. And you know what? I don't think that's going to be a problem. I guess we'll find out, won't we? And you know what? It's all going to be great food too. So thanks, Paul, for the message. We're going to do it for you. 100th episode of John Eats Cheap. So we got the game on in the background, so I got to make this quick because it's football Sunday. Big pot of chili. So here's today's total. Day 1, pot of chili. We're going to do grilled cheese with that. Sourdough bread was on sale, $2.50 a loaf. So I'm including the cost of the chili, the crackers, the bread, the onions, the shredded cheese for the chili, the sliced cheese for the grilled cheese, the Fritos for the chili, the sour cream, and the butter. $24 total. That sounds like a lot for one meal, but you know what? This is going to go beyond one meal because we're going to use the chili later, and we're going to use sour cream later. We're going to use bread later. It's going to make up for itself. First day, $24 sounds expensive, but we're going to make it well under $100, I promise. Day 1, trying to eat cheap for a week. John Eats Cheap. John Eats Cheap, day 2 of dinner for a week. And look at this, Costco chicken. $4.99, big chicken. $5. And we're going to make this last 2 meals. We're going to have it tonight as roasted chicken with some Dollar Tree rice, yellow rice. I love this stuff. It's $1. Chicken stuffing. I know you're saying rice and stuffing, but you know what? That adds a lot to the meal. 89 cents. And we're going to use this later in the week and this later in the week. I had some frozen celery, little diced onion from last night's chili, little frozen celery. We're going to add to the stuffing mix. So this is a $5, $6, $7 meal. All right, we're getting cheaper, aren't we? There you go, Costco chicken. Now this is a $4.99, so I'll say $5 dinner. So far, I've added the stuffing from Aldi, 89 cents. So that makes it a $6. I added a little diced onion left over from last night's chili. A little celery I had in the freezer, and look at that, the Dollar Tree rice, which is $1. Couple pats of butter just added to it. I know you're saying that's a lot of food, that's a lot of starch, but we're going to use it for leftover later in the week too. As we are with the chicken, because there's no way we can eat this whole chicken. You know what? First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add the juice from the chicken into the stuffing. Are you kidding me? That is going to be a lot of flavor. So, let's get some hindquarters off of this chicken. Mrs. Cheap loves the leg and the thigh, so that's what she gets. Leg and a thigh right there. I like the wing myself, so I'm going to go with a little wing. As I said, we're going to save mostly the breast for later in the week for another meal. Look how far this, oh, I forgot to cut the string off. Oh, well. Get that out of there. Yeah. So I'm going to cut the other leg and the thigh off. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and add that to mine. Give Mrs. Cheap the other wing. That saves the whole breast for later in the week for another recipe. There you go. Look at that. All that's left over. I'll add the stuffing. We're going to have some stuffing left over. You know what? We'll have some chicken left over too. And that's okay because the pieces of chicken added to the stuffing are fantastic for a lunch. So that's the great thing. Look at all the money we saved on this meal. It's a cheap meal and also gets you a couple of lunches down the road. Now I mentioned we got the chicken at Costco. It's $4.99 at Costco. You know what? Sam's Club has the same deal. Their chickens, rotisserie chickens, and they're great. $4.99. They have great lunch specials. You can get a pizza real cheap, like a hot dog and a drink for $1.50. The memberships pay for themselves. I think it's $50 for Sam's or maybe $60 for Sam's or Costco, but we get gas there. Mrs. Cheap and I have to fill up once a week, and just the savings in gas is about 20 cents a gallon for each of us every week. That pays for itself. It's a great savings, so get a membership to Sam's or Costco, either one. You know what? We have both, and it's worth it. Look at that, eating cheap. $5, $6, $7 right here. $7 meal with lots of leftovers. Eating cheap, that's the way to do it. Night number 3, dinner. That's a 4-pound eye of round roast. We got the roast for $2.99 a pound. Threw in some mushrooms that we got that we'll use later in the week, some onion, carrots, potatoes. Night number 3, into the crock she goes. All out of the crock pot. That's a great thing too about the cheap meals, especially the roast. This is your classic, roast beef in the crock pot. I got home from work at noon and put it on, and it's ready for dinner 5 hours later. So I'm just going to slice some thin here. I love thin sliced roast beef. This will certainly be enough to feed a family of 4. We only have a family of 2, so I'm going to slice part of it and we'll use the rest of it. Ooh, look at that juice. We'll use the rest of it for a dinner in a couple of days that we'll use the beef roast. This is an eye of round. They said we got it for $2.99 a pound, which is a great price for eye of round. Very lean. And our total for this dinner is going to be $22. I'm going to go ahead and put these over here. That's probably all Mrs. Cheap and I will eat. That's a lot of roast beef right there, thin sliced. We'll save that for a future dinner. And our classic sides, the potatoes, the carrots, the onion, yeah. Mushrooms in there. Lots of au jus if you want to make it a little juicy. There you go. $22 total for this meal. And we're going to use a lot of it later in the week, so it won't cost us anything. That's eating cheap. Night 3. Here we go. Day 4. We've had a couple of, I think we had a $22 night, a $24 night. Now is when we get to really cheap. John Eats Cheap, you bet. Leftover chili, so that's free. We already paid for that, right? We got leftover cheese from Sunday's chili, but we'll need a new one too, so that's $2. Tortillas, $1.49 at Aldi. I got the big ones. You can get them at Dollar Tree, but they're smaller and only 49 cents less. We're going to use the big ones. We're going to make enchiladas using our leftover chili. See, so we had the chili. Now we're going to do a little something different. Instead of just having leftover chili, we're going to make cheesy enchiladas. Yeah. I'm telling you, that looks great. $3 meal using leftovers. There's our leftover rice. It's going to be great. Of course, the enchiladas. We got a little salsa, some leftover fresh salsa from the garden. Tomatoes, jalapenos, onions, garlic. A little bit of jarred, a little bit of sour cream left over from the chili the other day, so that's free. This is a $3 meal. Plenty for Mrs. Cheap and I and a guest. Cheap Jr. is here for dinner, and there'll be enough for leftovers too. Let's dig in. Be careful. The casserole dish is hot. Dinner, day 5. John Eats Cheap with our full week. This is where it really gets cheap because this is a leftover night. Remember that roast beef we had? Leftover. So we already paid for this, right? It's free. Remember the mushrooms we cooked up? These are leftover, so it's free. The onion leftover from the chili, free. I spent $1 on the noodles at the Dollar Tree. Our beef broth, I had a can in the pantry, and I have the leftover beef broth from our roast beef. Worcestershire had that in the fridge. Just takes a little bit of that. And sour cream, $1.50. So we got 2.5. We get about $3.25. What we're spending on tonight's dinner. Yeah. $1 for the noodles. Stroganoff. You know what? Total meal was $3.25 for all this. There it is, ready to go for a meal. And look at all this. This is left for Mrs. Cheap. We'll be able to get a couple of lunches out of this at least. $3.25 for this. Our total for the week after 5 nights, $59.25. That's eating cheap. I can't wait to see what we have tomorrow with more leftovers, but making them extra special. John Eats Cheap, day 6, dinner. Remember that Costco chicken we had? Here's the leftovers, so that's free. Remember those tortillas we used for the enchiladas? Here's the leftovers, so it's free. I have a $2 bag of cheese. I have salsa that was in the fridge, little homemade salsa. Sour cream left over from the stroganoff. So this is it was $2 for the bag of Mexican cheese, and I'm not going to use all of it. So this is a $2, I'm going to call it a $2 dinner. So here we go, chicken quesadillas. Okay, so this is night 6. We had roast beef. We had leftover roast beef with the stroganoff, beef stroganoff. We had chili, leftover chili with the enchiladas. Now we had rotisserie chicken, leftover rotisserie chicken with quesadillas. Just add a little seasoning. So tonight's dinner, $2. That gets our total up to $61.25 for 6 days. We got 1 day left. Leftover sour cream. I'm telling you. We're going to go ahead and put this on here. Homemade salsa. I have some jarred salsa left over just in case, because everybody has that in the fridge, right? You got your salsa. This is our own tomatoes, peppers, garden salsa. All we spent was $2 on the cheap bag of cheese. Dinner, day 6. John Eats Cheap. Day 7, last day of logging all week with our meals. Saturday night is pizza night. We're going to do homemade pizza. Now, usually I make my own crust. I got about 3 different types, a thick one, a thin one, and then just a medium chewy one. But for this, I'm using a refrigerated Pillsbury crust, $2.50 at the store. Contadina pizza sauce, my favorite, that's $1.50, so that gets us up to $4. Pepperoni was $3 at Aldi. So that's $7, $2 for the bag of cheese. So that's a $9 dinner. We're gonna make homemade pizza. You know what? I got a little bit of fresh mozzarella left over that was 99 cents on sale, and this is left over, so it's like a quarter's worth, so I'm not even gonna count it. We're just gonna throw that on for a little something extra. We're just gonna do pepperoni and cheese. Of course, you can do sausage, whatever you got in the freezer or leftover. Oh, we got some mushrooms in the fridge too. Leftover, they're free. Homemade pizza. So that'll easily feed 4. So this is $9 for a pizza. And you know what, Mrs. Cheap and I were talking. You can get a carry-out pizza for that price. Pizza is one of those foods that's almost a better bargain to get from a restaurant. You know, there's coupons, there's great deals, because you have to buy so many ingredients that you aren't going to use the whole ingredient. You know what I mean? In a case of chicken, you can buy a whole chicken for like $4. If you buy a 3-piece chicken dinner, it's like $10 to $15 at a restaurant. So chicken's not a good bargain to eat out. Pizza is a good bargain. Lots more competition too for carry-out pizza. But, you know, homemade, you make it the way you want it exactly. You can get the family involved, and this is going to feed us, and we'll have a couple of lunches out of it too. So our total for the week, John Eats Cheap, 7 nights of dinner, comes right to $70, so $10 a day. And we got, what did we say, 11 lunches out of that as well. So that gives us lunch for almost every day of the week too. That's Eatin' Cheap. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching the 100th episode. That's cool. And coming up soon, we have some great breakfast ideas, more State Fair knockoffs. What was the other thing? Oh yeah, we have a couple of liqueurs that are almost ready that we are filming how to make those as well. A lot more fun. Thanks for watching. Tell your friends too. John Eats Cheap.